a citizen's right based on their race be named after a racist. Because today it's totally, well, I'm not going to say totally different, because there is this thing called gerrymandering. If you want to understand what that is, just Google it. Gerrymandering still goes on. So the manipulation of the voting process still happens now, moving district lines and things like that to make sure certain people maintain seats or win certain elections. That stuff still goes on. This is the Sports Kings podcast, and I promise I'm going to get to the sports stuff. As you can see, I'm dropping a little sports tidbits in and out of this little dissertation that I'm having here. But, we told you on the first day, if you heard the first show, this is not going to be an everyday, you hear the intro to the show, the voice guy tells you this is not your average sports show. So basically what that means is any topic is on the table. This is the benefit of doing something yourself and claiming ownership of something where you're able to have this creative control. Because in other places that I've done this job, this definitely would have been disallowed and frowned upon greatly, having this conversation. But to me, I think it's worth having. I think it's worth spending the time to have this conversation and allowing an opinion, my opinion, to be heard. It may not be the most popular of opinions, but it's mine, and it's been well thought out, and it's something that I think about all the time. I think about some of the antiquated things that happen within my community, just like today, after this young man, Tony Robinson, another young black teenager, young black man, shot down by a white policeman. And, it's one of those things that I don't know if people are getting numb to it, but I'll never, as someone who's raising a young black man, every time I hear about it, every time I see something about it, it feels exactly the same. It feels 100% the same. It's not even a matter of fear, but it's concern and embarrassment. I'm so embarrassed that this happens today. As we commemorate, these or as we I don't know, is commemorate the right word, as we recognize what happened 50 years ago in Selma, Alabama. For these things to continuously happen. And every time, man, it's the same company line. He was coming at me. He was unarmed, sir. So, and I don't know how many of you know this, but in the private sector, that can't happen. There is no, if you punch me and I shoot you dead, that is not self-defense. I have to meet force with equal force, your force with equal force, meaning I have to punch you back in order to protect myself. I can't just pull out my gun and shoot you because you slapped me in my mouth or something crazy like that. That's not how it works. But some kind of way, if you're in that gang that wears the badges, and I do now, at this point, it's becoming like a gang situation, where the first instinct is to mow somebody down with your firearm. And I don't know how many of you guys look at the show Vice on HBO. It's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful show. Last week's episode was about climate change and whatnot, but this week coming up, they're going to be talking about the militarization of police, American police, basically turning into another branch of the military. They got tanks, they got body armor, they got submachine guns, the whole nine, And in the preview for the episode, I heard a guy, I guess he was a former police officer, or maybe he was a current police officer, say that there's so much time spent on the shooting range and very little time spent on conflict resolution. So basically, when you get put into a crunch, or you get put into an adverse situation, you're going to revert to the thing that you practice the most, which was shooting. And that's what seems to be happening right now, man. These kids are just. And then the first thing they want to do is, well, he got arrested 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I don't care. Nobody deserves to be murdered for something they did in the past. If they paid for it in America, if you paid for it, you went to jail or you've been prosecuted or whatever the situation may be. I don't know. It's just it's one of those things it's one of the harder, it's one of the more difficult things for me actually just to speak about, because I don't know how it continues to happen over and over again. And speaking of young men being shot, I guess this would be a segue, but today marks the 18th anniversary of the I guess untimely demise of the notorious B.I.G. Christopher Wallace would be his government name. And like times like this, I wonder what he would be saying about what's happening in the streets right now. Like, what would if Biggie would have a social commentary on some of these things that are happening right now. So that's my little, I guess now 20 plus minute, to do about the things that went on this weekend. I'm not sure that I really, articulated myself as properly as I could because of, well, I hate to keep saying, but I'm a person that just, I love to move forward. I love to move forward and progress. And I believe, progression is a thing that kills a lot of these things that we fear or that we have so much consternation towards, like racism. Move forward. Don't let a word dictate an action that inevitably you'll end up regretting. That's what I've always said, especially now, because I'm not sure if Rob and I had this conversation on the air or not, because sometimes I just talk. But I heard Jason Whitlock say this at a point last year. Jason Whitlock, now of ESPN. He said his problem with the N-word is that was probably the last word a lot of men in the 60s and 50s and beyond, or in before times, heard before they were lynched or they were hung from trees. And my opposition to that would be that the word ain't the problem. Because if you were given that man the choice, would you like for this guy to stop calling you the N-word while you're hanging up there, sir? Or would you like to be on the ground without a rope around your neck and have him call you whatever the hell he wants to? I'm going to go out on a limb here and probably say he chose the last option. You know what I mean? Like, that word didn't kill that man. It was another type of, it was hatred, and it was an action based upon that hatred. I mean, they could have used any word while he was hanging up there. Could have been the N-word, any word. But the fact of the matter is, he was hung from a tree until he expired. So, that being that, we'll move on to the world of the NFL. And this is the Sports Kings podcast. You can hear us via Spreaker.com. These things also upload to our Facebook. We also tweet them out. We Instagram the link to them as well. Those accounts, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, are at Sports Kings Live. Our email address is sportskingsatl@gmail.com as well. Tonight, it's just me, Big Mike. My partner, Rob Calloway, had previous engagement, so he wasn't able to be a part of the show tonight. But we hope to have him back tomorrow. Now, on to the world of the NFL. The I don't know what they want to call it, like the legal tampering phase is in full blow until tomorrow at 4 when the league year begins and free agents can begin to sign with their new or old team, but sign new contracts nonetheless. Safety, what's this kid's name? Devin McCourty. He re-signed with the Patriots. The Patriots chose not to pick up the option on Darrelle Revis, who seems like every year this kid is a free agent. And he understands more than anybody I've seen since the likes of maybe a Deion Sanders on how to play the game financially and how to maximize your worth, or what you feel like your worth is. He's figured out how to maximize it. He's got like the little branding going on with the Revis Island situation. He plays up to it 9 times out of 10. And he's still a relatively young player. He had the one knee injury a couple of years ago, but came back off that last year. Took him, like most knee injuries, a little while to come back off of them or to come back to his full self. But this year played once again at the Pro Bowl level, and he's looking to get paid again. So good for him. Let's see here as I scroll down my because I don't want to really bore you guys with kickers re-signing and things of that. Oh, here's one. Chip Kelly and the boys and the Philadelphia Ducks, as they will be henceforth known if Chip Kelly has his way. Jeremy Maclin on the move, expected to sign with his former head coach Andy Reid tomorrow and the Kansas City Chiefs. And all I have to say to Jeremy Maclin is good effing luck. Like, everybody wants to feel like, oh man, they had a terrible wide receiver group. They didn't score any touchdowns. Yeah, Alex Smith is a bum. Like, around here, and if you don't know, if you're listening from somewhere else and you've never heard this show, we're in Atlanta, and I forget what they call Matt Ryan, check down Charlie or something like that. No, my friend. The real check down Charlie is Alex Smith. That kid will not throw the football past 12 yards if his life depended on it. And he costs a lot of dudes some money, man. Like these guys out there who are about to be, like Dwayne Bowe might be on the move. Why? And then he's going to need to sign a new contract and try to present himself as the viable option at the wide receiver position with no touchdowns. Yeah, good luck, Dwayne. Like, that's costing people money. The fact that they paid Alex Smith to be that guy, and he's really not. He is the epitome of this thing they like to call game manager. Like, excuse me, I'm not really a fan of that term because every quarterback manages the game at some level. Peyton Manning, he's the ultimate game manager. He totally manages the entire game offensively. So to say that's a negative term, really in my wheelhouse, but I'm speaking to you in the language that I know you can understand when I say game, because the majority see game manager as, like, as soon as I say it, you open up the NFL dictionary game manager and you see the picture of Trent Dilfer right there. And even Trent Dilfer, people act like Trent Dilfer didn't make no plays. Like, he was just handing the ball off to Jamal Lewis. And then, if they didn't get a first down on all 3 runs, or on 3 runs, they just kick it back and let Ray and the boys, Ray and Tony Saragusa and Big Adams over there just, play defense until they could get 3 points some kind of way and win the ball game. Nah, that dude made plays. He had guys like Jermaine Lewis, Shannon Sharp, Hall of Fame tight end, was on the offensive side of the football, a 2,000-yard rusher eventually, and Jamal Lewis was on that side of the ball as well. So, Trent Dilfer played quarterback. It wasn't flashy. But if you remember, before he came in, it was Tony Banks, the guy with all the physical tools, and he couldn't do squat. He turned the ball over so many times they couldn't get into the end zone. He spent like 2 or 3 games without any touchdowns. Yeah, Trent came in, and he was a savior. As good as that defense was, he saved that team and got them to a championship, into the position where they could win a Super Bowl based on how he played the game, managing the game. Okay, that being said. So, yeah, Jeremy Maclin is headed out there. And before I go any further, let me share something with you guys. Where is it? Oh, my guy, Stephen A. Smith. For whatever reason, I guess, according to Stephen A. Smith, Chip Kelly's a racist. Like, everyone's trying to figure out what's going on in Philadelphia. Like, everyone's waiting for the master plan. There it is. Chip Kelly has a white hood with the eyes cut out of it, apparently. Here's what Stephen A. Smith thinks is going on up in Philadelphia. And here's a quote by him. Where am I? Chip Kelly makes decisions over the last couple of years that, dare I say, leave a few brothers feeling uncomfortable. I think it's fair to say we're sitting there looking at some of the decisions that Chip Kelly makes, and I'm like, what's up with that? It's like you have this kind of guy, and I'm like, well, Riley Cooper is your kind of guy? Okay, because now the Riley Cooper thing is going to always come back up, and I don't understand why. Like, okay, the dude said a word. Again, going back to what I said earlier in the show, he said a word.